Hi, welcome back to my home. I'm Martha and I'm so glad you're here. So it is the middle of Three Rivers Challenge. I'm sorry it's a little late, but this is the first week's worth of meals and it's 3 home cooked dinners that are pretty easy to make and very quick and super delicious, especially in the winter. These are 3 of my favorite comfort foods, and I hope you enjoy them. And next week, I will show you week 2, and hopefully, I will have a full 5 or 6 different dinners for you. So, I hope you enjoy it. I decided to use some of the vegetables that we cut up today, some of the broccoli, cauliflower, onions, and peppers, and then I decided not to use the cauliflower, but I'm going to make a chicken bacon ranch pizza. I have some pre-made crusts and I just add a little olive oil and spread that around. Then I add some ranch seasoning on the crust. Then we're going to top it with some mozzarella cheese and some chicken from last night's leftovers. And I'm going to use my drum shredder, which I absolutely love for pizza. It's really, really easy to just shred the cheese right over the pizza. It makes it so much faster. I love it a lot. And I'm talking to my son there and on the side, and he's making his pizza, which he likes a little bit of a plainer pizza than my husband and myself. So he's just doing cheese and pepperoni and some of the delicious pizza sauce that we made over the summer with our garden fresh tomatoes. See how quick that makes topping the pizza with cheese? So much faster. So much faster. The only thing I wish it stuck to the counter better, but that's okay. And now we're going to cut up that leftover chicken and top the pizzas with that, and it is going to be absolutely delicious. I really think this is one of my new favorite ways to, or flavors for our pizza. And my husband and I and my son, we like to do individual pizzas so that way we can have our own toppings. And one pizza usually will feed us for dinner and then for lunch the next day. I think having cooked chicken in the fridge really has been a game changer for me. I use it like when I do a chicken meal, I've been cooking twice as much as I will need for the one meal. And then I have some in the fridge and I can very easily use it for a different meal the next day. Now I'm just going to chop up my broccoli nice and small so that way it cooks nice on the pizza, because it would be kind of gross to bite into some raw broccoli. And then I decided just to go ahead and cut up all that broccoli and put it in individual bags and put it into the freezer. 2 of them went in the freezer and 1 went into the fridge. Now I'm just adding some frozen onions. Or no, those are the onions I chopped earlier, not frozen. And this is where I decide, hey, I'm going to just chop up the rest of that broccoli and throw it into some bags. Might as well finish the vegetable prep. Now I've prepped almost all of the vegetables that I had in the house, because having prepped veggies in the house, it's just so much more convenient, and I notice that things go bad less when I do that because I'm going to reach for that. It's going to be easy and convenient. And now I'm adding some peppers, some green peppers that we chopped earlier. And one thing, having that chopper makes my day go by so much faster. I had all the vegetables chopped in probably about an hour. And then I grab out some frozen mushrooms. Usually when we make pizza, we only use half a jar of mushrooms for my husband, so then we just freeze the rest for the next time. And I decided at the last minute to throw on some broccoli. or bacon. That is definitely not broccoli. That was bacon. And I'm going to top it with some ranch, and then I'm going to shake some Parmesan over the top of both of them. And then I decided to shake some Parmesan on my son's pizza as well. And then in the oven they go. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. On this cold and snowy day, I decided that I wanted some warm, creamy comfort food. So we're going to go ahead and make some chicken and dumplings. I like mine to be more like a southern style where they're more like a biscuit than a noodle. I've never really had, I think that's southern style, I don't know. That's just what I grew up eating, and so that's what I like to make. I don't really care much for the ones with the noodle type dumpling. So I'm just going to prep up my vegetables. I have some carrots, some or not broccoli, celery, and an onion, a half an onion, and some garlic. I'm going to use my chopper to make this process a lot faster. That's a half an onion there. And I realize it's just a little bit too big to fit, so I cut it in half one more time, couple of whacks, and now I have my onion prepped. Now on to the celery and the carrots. This really does speed up the process. So if you have a chopper when making soup, it can really cut your time. And now I'm going to go ahead and mince some garlic. Just picking out the best looking cloves. I bought a big bag of heads of garlic from Sam's Club, and I broke them down into cloves, and I planted the big ones and kept the small ones. And then we ended up moving and leaving all those garlic cloves in the ground. But that is okay. Hopefully someone will enjoy them in the future. Now I'm just going to mince it up nice and fine. Boy, that looks pretty impressive when you speed it up. Pretty nice. Now I'm just going to add the garlic in with the rest of the vegetables. Now I'm going to pull out a piece of chicken, get that all ready. First I'm going to add some butter into my pan and get it browning. Add a little bit of olive oil. Now this is just a chicken breast that I'm going to go ahead and season. Some seasoned salt, a little bit more olive oil, some garlic, and some onion powder. My goal is to brown that chicken on all the sides and to cook the veggies down till they're nice and tender and the onions are translucent. You want to be careful that your garlic doesn't burn, so don't cook this on too high of a heat. Once everything is browned, I'm going to go ahead and add some chicken broth that I had made a few days ago. I knew there wasn't going to be enough jars to can it all, so I had planned then to make a soup. So I just put it in a half-gallon jar and threw it in the fridge. Into the pot it goes. Now we're going to let everything come to a boil. I decided I needed a little more juice, so I added a little bit of water to the jar and shook all those bits that were stuck on the jar down and added it into the soup. I'm going to season it a little bit more because I do not season my broth. So I wait till I cook with it to season. Make sure you're tasting at every step so that you know that you get your seasoning just right. Now it is time to make the dumplings. That is some sourdough starter that is not active, and I'm going to use it to make my dumplings. I'm going to add 1 egg and about 2 cups of flour. Stir that egg up pretty good, make sure it's all incorporated. Add some salt. The salt is key because you don't want this to taste like raw flour. Now we're going to stir that up into a shaggy dough. Add a little bit of water if it's too dry, because like I said, you don't want bread dough, you want a shaggy dough. It's going to be very, very wet. There we go. It's the consistency that I want. So now I'm going to cover it and let it rest for 10 to 15 minutes. Now I'm going to pull it out. I'm going to flour it very, very well on all sides. I'm just going to cut it into strips, and then I'm going to flour each one of my strips to make sure that it's not sticking to me, sticking to the bowl, sticking to each other. I want everything good and coated here, because as I said, this is a very, very sticky dough. Now I'm going to coat each dumpling in flour as I go. I'm just cutting them into about 1-inch pieces and throwing it into the flour, and then I'll give it a real good shake. Coating everything in flour is definitely key so that it doesn't stick to itself, and then you just have a giant ball of dough. Now I'm going to not know what I'm doing here. Oh, I ran out of flour. I needed to grab some more flour to make sure that I had enough on everything. Now, unfortunately, this is going to cut off quite abruptly. I cannot find the end where I showed the finished soup in the bowl. But all you do is you flour your dumplings and you get your soup bubbling really, really well. You want a good boil on it. And then you want to start dropping your dumplings in a few at a time, keeping your boil going. So we're going to enjoy this, and we will see you the next time we're in the kitchen cooking dinner. Have a great night. On this night, we are going to have what we call chicken mashed potato bowl. Here are the potatoes in the pot ready to go. And now I'm going to start to prep my chicken. I'm going to make a breaded chicken nugget I'm going to add some Parmesan cheese to the crust on the chicken nugget. I will trim my chicken, and I left it slightly frozen just so it was easier to cut. Warm chicken is hard to cut for sure. Now I'm just going to cut the cut the chicken into bite-sized pieces. I'm going to place the bite-sized pieces into a Ziploc bag, a 1-gallon Ziploc bag, so that I can do a shake and bake type breading on my chicken nuggets. Now that the chicken is cut, I'm going to cut a second chicken breast, and I realized that I had enough chicken for the chicken nuggets, so I decided to go ahead and cut chicken strips with this piece of chicken so that I would have chicken prepped for a future meal when we had chicken ranch wraps, which is basically like a chicken taco. And now I'm just cutting the strips, and I'm going to season those up nice and put them on the same pan and throw them in the oven all together. I think having prepped chicken with a plan in the freeze or fridge has been such a game changer for me. So now to my bag, I'm seasoning my chicken with salt, pepper, garlic, and onion powder. And I'm going to add about a half a cup of flour and a good couple shakes of Parmesan cheese. Now I'm just shaking it up, and then I'm going to add some olive oil to the bag, and I believe this is when I add the Parmesan cheese. The purpose of the olive oil is to help the breadcrumbs and the flour and the Parmesan all stick together. And this is where I add about half a cup of breadcrumbs. This is just homemade breadcrumbs from some leftover day-old bread that I had for homemade bread. This is a good part if you have little ones who like to help in the kitchen. Let them shake the bag while you're getting other things ready. They'll enjoy it. And just make sure it's a good sturdy bag with a good zipper. You don't want chicken all over the floor. Yeah, give it a good shake. If you move it around enough, all the breading should stick to the chicken. And if there's still some breading that hasn't stuck, just give it some more olive oil and a good shake. And remember, you don't want the chicken to be dry, otherwise it'll come out gritty instead of nice and crunchy breaded. And now, once I'm done shaking, we're going to put it on a baking sheet and we're going to throw it in the oven at 375 for about 15-20 minutes until it is golden and looking delicious, because we're not going to cook these bowls, we're going to assemble them, so all the parts will need to be cooked ahead. Now if you were doing like a shepherd's pie or a cottage pie, you would not need to have the chicken all the way cooked through if you didn't want to, that way it wouldn't get dried out. I'm just putting the chicken nuggets on one half, and I'm going to put the seasoned chicken strips on the other. Having the chicken strips in the fridge saved me because I got really sick like the very next day after making this video, and I had zero energy. So making the chicken ranch wraps was super easy because the chicken was already cooked. All we had to do was pull it out, warm it in the microwave, and assemble our essentially chicken tacos. I didn't record that because, as I said, I was not feeling well at all. And now I'm just going to tidy up a little. Oh, I think I did decide to put a little flour, but I didn't put any breadcrumbs on the chicken strips. I just wanted a little bit of crunch, and I also added some ranch seasoning to the mixture. Give it a good shake. You're not looking for a real thick breading. You're just looking for everything to be coated so that it gets crunchy and crispy in the oven. Again, this would be a great way to get a kid involved if you wanted to let them shake the bag. I just placed the chicken on the sheet so there was just a little bit of space between each piece so that it would get nice and toasty all the way around. And off to the oven it goes. And now I'm going to microwave some frozen peas. I will also take those out of the bag sometimes and just throw them in my steamer. They're just as good that way. Now it is time to get the gravy going. I believe that is 4 cups of chicken broth, or maybe it's 2.5 cups of chicken broth, and a little bit of cornstarch, and I'm going to season it with salt and pepper and garlic and onion powder. And this is just a quick and simple pan gravy, and of course I whisk it really well to make sure that we don't have any lumps. And I do not salt my chicken broth, so I wanted to make sure that gravy had a lot of good flavors. Now I'm going to turn my heat on medium-high. And just whisk it until it gets smooth and creamy and thick. Takes about 10-ish minutes to get the gravy nice and ready. If you let cornstarch sit on the bottom too long, you will get a film. And now it looks like I am about to finish off my potatoes. Oh, I finished off the potatoes, and here is everything out on the counter so that we can make our bowls. We usually put mashed potatoes, chicken, peas, and then top everything with gravy and a little cheese. Thank you for watching, and I will see you tomorrow.